Hello. Now that we are a couple of weeks into the semester, we're going to finally start on our textbook. So chapter 1 is all about information systems. You can see the objective slides here, but we're going to start with why should you learn about information systems. I'm sure you've all heard someone say that we're living in the information age. There's an app for pretty much everything or anything that we need to do, whether it's buying groceries. You can look at your health records on MyChart. You can do online banking. Pretty much anything you need to do can be done from your phone. So most companies know that if they want to stay relevant and up to date, they're going to have to use information systems in some way, which is why it's important for someone entering the workforce to be familiar with these information system concepts. If you can show a company that you can learn and work with their information systems, it makes you a lot more valuable and they'll be more likely to hire you. And for my students that are in doing like patient access or medical coding, information systems and those two careers really work hand in hand. Okay, so what is an information system? It is a set of interrelated components that work together to collect, process, store, and disseminate information. So they will help all sides of a business operate. So for example, when someone places an order for something, a pair of sunglasses, the information system will capture that order, process the payment, communicate to whoever will fulfill the order, right? Like get the sunglasses, package them, put the shipping label on. Then the information system will create the receipt, etc. Okay. It'll also have what's called a feedback mechanism that will monitor and control its operation to make sure the system is operating effectively and efficiently. It can also analyze large amounts of data, so running reports to show the company, how are sunglass sales doing in February versus October, or whatever time period they want to look at, really. And it can create graphs or tables from it, okay? So having an information system gives a company a competitive advantage to generate more sales and make more money, right? The advantages can be gained in 3 ways. So by cost leadership, let's see, which is providing I'm on the second main bullet point, providing the same value as competitors, but at a lower price. By differentiation, that is charging higher prices for products that the customer perceives as being better. And then the third one is focus. So by understanding and servicing a target market better than anyone else. It takes a lot of effort to sustain this competitive advantage. There are people that have to monitor these types of things and make changes if needed so that people will use them and not their competitor. And they use information systems to do this, okay? The Levitt's diamond model is what organizations use to introduce new information systems into the workplace. Because a lot of times companies would, bring in these new systems and just focus on the technology side while not considering how stressful it was for their employees. And so it led to unhappy employees and less successful implementation. So this model is meant to lower stress, to encourage teamwork, and to make the implementation more successful. It does this by looking at 4 key components, which include the people side, along with the technology infrastructure, processes, and structure. So this is what the model looks like. You can pause the video and read each of the 4 parts, but we're going to go through each one. Okay, first up is the people component, which is the most important because the people will make the difference between success and failure. Um, it's people that are coming up with the idea to utilize, to use an information system. People are building the information systems. People are supporting and maintaining the system once it's in use, okay? Good information systems can help people produce really good work and also boost productivity and job satisfaction. So if you as an employee are not happy, your work is not going to be the best usually, right? So organizations should want their employees to be happy and well taken care of. In order for an information system implementation to be successful, the employees have to be well trained and understand why the company even needs the new system. They need to understand what their role in using the system will be and how to do it properly. They need to be motivated to use the system and have access to support people as needed. So they need to know, if they have questions or problems or things come up, that they have people that they can talk to help them walk through it. They have to feel comfortable with the system in order to use it successfully. Okay, the next component is the technology infrastructure. So this includes all of the hardware, software, databases, networks, facilities, like data centers or server rooms, the physical facility, and services provided by third parties like consultants, or if they have to rent computer hardware or, rent like an outside storage facility. Okay. The technology infrastructure is all of the stuff an organization would use to develop, test, support, etc., to meet the needs of their customers and suppliers, their employees, or any regulatory agencies. So think of the technology infrastructure as the foundation for every computer-based information system. A company cannot have a computer-based information system without all of this stuff. Okay. This table is outdated, but it shows how much projected worldwide spending for technology for 2017, 18, and 19. And these numbers are in the billions. Okay, so almost $3.8 trillion in 2019. Okay. The next component is the processes. So a process is what takes whatever the company's input is, adds some value to it, and creates an output for the customer of that process. The input can be something tangible, like raw materials or chemical ingredients. It could also be data. And the output can be a finished product, or information learned from processing the data, like a completed form or a report. So an example of a process would be a salesperson taking a customer's order. So the items in the order are pulled from inventory, packaged, shipped to the customer. So in that scenario, the input is the order that the customer placed. The value added to it is pulling those items that are ordered, and then the output is shipping that to the customer and them receiving it. The term procedure just refers to the set of steps that have to be followed to get a specific end result. So these are the procedures employees have to follow that say, how you enter in a customer order, for example. The procedure will tell them how to achieve the end result, who does what and when, and what to do if something goes wrong. Okay, so it's like a how-to guide. So everyone is trained to do these certain things a certain way. And it usually makes things easier. They're able to get work done faster and cheaper than if everyone was doing things their own way. As you can imagine, setting up and using an information system involves creating and following a lot of procedures. Okay. All right, and the last component of the Levitt's diamond model is an organization's structure, which defines relationships between members of the organization and defines all of their roles, responsibilities, and lines of authority. So who they report to and who reports to them. So employees can look at this and know exactly what's expected of them. Okay, moving on. What are the 4 different types of information systems? The first is personal. So this includes any systems that help improve someone's productivity. So like word processing or timesheet software. Okay, they help an employee work more efficiency. Or think of like Walmart's grocery pickup, which I personally love. So Walmart's system lets me get on their app, pick all of the groceries I need, then pick a pickup time and pay for them. So then on their end, the employee is able to shop for each item. And the system keeps track of all my favorites, things I buy over and over. I can look at recent purchases, okay, all sorts of things. So this type of system would be considered a personal information system. It makes it a super efficient process because otherwise there's no easy way for me to ask a Walmart employee to get my groceries, right? The app, the information system is what makes it easy. Okay, the next type of information system is a work group information system. These can also be called collaboration systems, but these help people to work together more effectively. So whether they're in the same physical location or in different places across the world. A good example of this would be Zoom or Microsoft Teams, okay? An enterprise information system helps companies manage their entire business. So it connects different parts of the company. So sales and finance and inventory. So everyone has access to like the same information all in one place. It like lets each department kind of talk to each other. And then the last one is the interorganizational information system, or IS. This does kind of the same thing, but across organizational boundaries. So I'll use Walmart as an example again. They use this type of system to help manage its store's inventory and streamline product flow. So companies that Walmart gets their supplies from can use the same system to see when Walmart needs more of a certain item, for example. So instead of someone in the physical Walmart stores keeping track of, how many of each item they have, and then having to call the supplier to get more every time they're running low, the system will automatically alert the supplier to when Walmart will need more. Okay. And as you can imagine, with a corporation like Walmart that has, I don't even know how many stores, it would be hard to manually keep track of that for every store. Okay. The information system makes this a lot easier. Okay. A value chain is a series or chain of activities that an organization performs to transform inputs into outputs in a way that the value of the input is increased. And remember, we kind of already touched on this a couple slides ago when we talked about processes, which was part of the Levitt's diamond model, where you take an input, add value to it, and produce an output. Okay, so an organization can have many value chains, and not every organization will have the same types of value chains. A very simple example of this is when you buy a gift at a store and they ask you, do you want this gift wrapped? Okay, they take the gift from the customer, wrap it with pretty paper, and give it back to the customer, which increases the perceived value of the gift. Okay. A supply chain is a key value chain, so especially in the manufacturing organizations. The primary processes of that include inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing, sales, and service. So a supply chain deals with the creation and or delivery of a product or service. Okay. And you can see that in this graphic here. So the supply chain for a company is all about getting the right product or service into the right customer's hands in the right quantity at the right time, and for the right cost, right? So the supply chain has primary processes and support processes. The primary processes are directly concerned with creating and delivering the product or service. Okay, that's the main goal of the supply chain, right? Then there are four support processes that you can see at the bottom, including technology, infrastructure, human resource management, accounting and finance, and procurement. So think of the support processes as the things that help support the primary processes of creating and delivering that product. You can't get those things complete if you don't have the correct technology and infrastructure to support everything. You can't create and deliver that product if you don't have the appropriate human resource management. You need to have employees and people on hand, and they have to be managed as well to be able to complete this process, right? Same thing with accounting and finance. These things have to take place in order to create and deliver this product. Okay, moving on to strategic planning, which the name kind of speaks for itself. It's the process that management does to decide basically what our goals are, what are we trying to achieve, and how do we do that? And like it says right there, the strategic plan is just a plan. It has to recognize that everything is in a state of flux. So while this plan would be ideal, it may not always come to fruition because sometimes new competitors will arise, or customers may not like something that you thought they would love. Also, the cost of their supplies can go up and down depending on the economy. Okay, so the plan would be great, but they have to be flexible also. The benefits for doing strategic planning are that it provides a framework and clear direction to help with decision making. So if the company knows, okay, this is our goal throughout the year, every decision that they make is going to be with that goal in mind. Another benefit is when they know what their priorities are, they can most effectively use their resources, what they have. Okay, also having a strategic plan allows the organization to be more proactive, where they can take advantage of opportunities in real time rather than reacting to them. And it helps improve communication between management and employees and all interested parties. So it keeps everyone on the same page, ideally. So some common examples of things when making a strategic plan would be to increase revenue, make more money, or to get new customers, or to increase customer loyalty. Or even, reducing the amount of time required to deliver new products to the market. Okay. Some things to consider would be, what are the long-term impacts of each strategy on revenue and profit? What is the degree of risk involved? What are the amount and types of resources that would be required to meet these goals? And what is the potential reaction from competitors? And typically, an organization will develop an overall strategic plan, but also organizations with a lot of different business lines or departments, you could think of it like that, in the organization, they'll usually have each manager of the various businesses come up with their own strategic plans. And so those need to be in line with the overall organizational strategic plan. So for example, the finance department will have their own plan. The, I can't even think, human resources, they're going to have their own plan. But all of those plans have to line up with what the overall organizational strategic plan is. Okay. The strategic plan of an information system organization has to figure out what technologies, vendors, competencies, people, systems, and projects that the organization will invest in to support the corporate and business unit strategies. Things that can influence this would be new technology, such as how our phones, they can store more data than old computers used to be able to, right? It can also be influenced by innovative thinkers, people that are coming up with new ideas, and also how the information system organization is looked at. It can be viewed as a cost center or a service provider, it can be looked at as a business partner, or it can be looked at as a game changer. So depending on what or how that organization looks at the information system, that can influence the plan as well. So you can see this slide, it's a little graphic, that talks about how planners must consider all of these different factors when setting an information system organizational strategy. Okay, so again, you can pause the video or check it out. It's in your ebook as well. And the next two slides have a table on the information system planning spectrum. So you can see at the top the three ways an information system can be viewed that I just mentioned. So for an IS that is considered a cost center or service provider, the strategic planning focus is more inward looking. And so the goals for that would be control, to reduce the cost of the IS, to increase or improve the operations and services. Okay, then the strategy would be, let's see, here we go, to react to strategic plans of the individual business units, and some of the typical projects would be to eliminate redundant or ineffective IS services. Okay, so pause the video, you can look at this, and again, it's in your ebook as well, just to give you an idea of how differently you would plan in an organization depending on how they look at the information system. Okay, I know all of that was very riveting, but we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the different types of careers in information systems. Most organizations cannot function or compete without some sort of computer-based information system people, right, that work on the information systems aren't necessarily like IT people. They're kind of like a cross between a business and a technology person, because they are working on the IS side, but they also have to do it with the mindset of how is this going to help the business. If you want to work with information systems, you have to be able to adapt because technology is always improving and changing. You also have to have good communication skills because a lot of times you're like the translator between the business needs and the technology-based solutions. And then the technical skills that you need are listed here. Go ahead and pause the video and read them yourself, just so I'm not reading straight from the slide. Okay, technology is one of the fastest growing areas in the U.S. economy. So there's a really high demand for IS professionals. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, there were 4.6 million people employed in computer-related occupations in 2016. So that was 9 years ago. And we all know how much has changed with technology since then. So that number is probably a lot higher. This graph just shows the annual number of computer and information science degrees awarded in the U.S. from 2006 to 2016. Okay, and so next we're going to talk about some of the different roles. I'm just going to touch on these very briefly, so feel free to pause the video to read more or check out your e-textbook. They'll go into more detail on any that you're interested in. First up is Chief Information Officer. So this is someone who kind of runs an IS department. They're in charge of equipment and personnel and making sure the IS achieves the goal of the organization. This is like the top dog. Next up is a software developer. They're the ones creating the actual computer programs, and they deal with any bugs or updates as needed. An information systems security analyst will plan, design, implement, and maintain the integrity of systems and data. So once the software developer creates the program, this position kind of maintains it for the organization. Okay, a systems analyst works to kind of make sure the needs of the business are being met by the information system. And then a programmer converts a program design developed by a systems analyst or a software developer into a working program. And this is written in one of many different computer languages. A web developer designs and maintains websites, so they do the layout and make sure it's functioning properly. And a business analyst is responsible for improving a company's competitiveness and performance. So they have to be able to figure out and solve any problems that come up. Okay, this table shows the median annual salary and forecasted number of new jobs opening for the IS positions we just talked about. Okay, in addition to working for an IS department in an organization, people can also work for large consulting firms, such as IBM or Hewlett-Packard. Those are some of the big names you've probably heard of. They can also work for technology companies like Microsoft or Google or HP. Some IS professionals will start their own small businesses or become entrepreneurs or freelancers. So they can write programs and work on IS projects for larger businesses or even develop new apps. So there's a lot of different options in this field. Okay, shadow IT refers to the use of information technology systems, devices, or software applications in an organization kind of separate from the IT department. So it usually happens when employees or users find like their own tools to get the work done. A lot of times because they feel the official systems are too slow or outdated, or they don't have the specific features that they want. So for example, someone might use a third-party cloud service like Google Drive or Dropbox to store work documents, even though the organization has a system in place for file storage. Okay, so while it might seem convenient or more efficient, shadow IT can pose some security risks like data breaches or compliance issues or compatibility problems, okay? Because these unauthorized tools aren't being monitored or vetted by the IT department, okay? So this slide and the next go over some of the pros and cons. So pause the video, read through these, okay? So you can get a good idea of them. Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about is continuous education. So most of the time, people in IS roles have completed some sort of certification, kind of like what y'all are working for in these classes, right? Where they have to sit for an exam to prove that they're capable of doing, X, Y, and Z, all these things. A lot of times, certification involves specific coursework from vendors, and also a lot of times getting a certification means an increase in pay. Okay, so the next 3 slides are a table that show some of the more in-demand IS certifications. So please feel free to check those out, especially if a job like this is something you could see yourself doing. Okay, so that's it for chapter 1. Please email me if you have any questions, and I hope you have a good week. Bye.